Well, we have a good show coming up in just a couple of minutes, waiting for folks to join us. Oh, the legendary Seton Motley's going to be here. lessgovernment.org. He knows the inside scoop of what's going on in D.C. And the question is, did Donald Trump sell you out today? Talk with him about that. Get your comments in just a second. We'll be going live in just a minute. But check in. I want to know where you're from. A few more seconds.
Unleashed. The American insurgency starts now. This is Rusty Humphries, Rebellion Radio.
Well, hello, my brother from another mother. How are you, my sister from another mister? Welcome. It is the Rusty Humphries Rebellion. My name is Rusty Humphries. We are powered today by rightwingnews.com and Right Wing News on Facebook. Thank you so much for being here. Today's sponsor, Australian Dream Arthritis Pain Relief Cream and Back Pain Relief Cream. Man, if you got pain, why even waste your time with anybody else? It doesn't smell, it doesn't burn, it's not greasy, and it actually does what it says it's going to do. So just go do it. Go to get your Australian Dream at Walmart, Walgreens, any great retailer. And if they don't have it at your store, that means your store sucks. So you should just turn right around and leave anyway. All right? Australian Dream Arthritis Pain Relief Cream. Australian Dream Arthritis Pain Relief Cream and Back Pain Relief Cream. All right. Well, a lot going on today. And I want to have a good friend of mine on. I haven't had him on this program in a while. He knows the inside scoop, although for some reason, probably because he's smart, he left D.C. He used to be one of those guys that was in D.C. all the time, and then all of a sudden he just left. And I think he's in Florida. Seton Motley's his name. Seton, how are you doing, my friend? Oops, don't forget, turn your microphone on. Turn the microphone on.
Yeah, I don't know how smart I am. I bought a little fishing cottage in Florida, and Irma made landfall 7 minutes from it.
Oh, man. How bad was it for you?
Haven't even found out yet. You can't get on Goodland. I live on a little peninsula called Goodland, Florida, and you can't get on Goodland right now unless you have a driver's license with Goodland on it.
And
I can't get anybody to tell me what the heck my house looks like.
So you don't have a driver's license with your city name in it?
I'm living in Maryland currently. I was going to go down in 2 weeks.
Oh, man.
It happened while I was up here.
Oh, geez. Okay, well, at least you're safe.
You know, I'm safe. The dog's safe. He's looking at us right now.
Okay.
But I don't know what happened to the little cottage.
Let's talk about it. Are you able to pay attention to what's going on in the news now that you're?
Oh yeah, I'm working. Yeah. I got to pay for the little cottage, even though it's maybe underwater currently.
All right. So lessgovernment.org, but you also pay attention to what's going on with DACA and amnesty and stuff. So the story. Can you explain the story? I mean, the way it looks. Trump had a dinner with Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. They partied it up. Next thing we know, he's selling us out. What's the truth?
Well, you've got to, and conservatives haven't figured this out yet, even people who like Trump, they react to the immediate news story and have to wait for the actual facts to come out.
Okay.
I mean, it's amazing. The conservative movement that has spent the last half century making fun of the media now believes them immediately when they report something about Trump. And as we found out through the course of the day, the original AP story saying that Schumer, Pelosi, and Trump had reached some sort of non-wall including agreement on DACA, turned out to not be true.
It's not true.
It's not true. Trump immediately came out and said it wasn't true. And we don't know exactly what they, I mean, it wasn't even a deal. It was a discussion. And of course, Pelosi and Schumer brought up, hey, we should legalize kids. That doesn't mean it's an agreement. It doesn't mean it's a deal. It just means that they brought it up and he's sitting there listening because that's what he does. He sits there and listens. And even, Amnesty Speaker Paul Ryan came out and said, this is not a deal. This is not what's going on. This is not about to happen.
All right. Now Now, we've got a lot of people that are checking in. By the way, if you would please check in right now. Let us know where you're deplorable from. We want to know who you are, where you're from. Check in right now. Share this video. It's very important that we go around the mainstream media, even around Fox News, who's selling us out in a lot of ways. And we have guys like Seton Motley on who actually know what they're talking about. Laura just wrote, yes, and she's referring to, did Trump sell us out? She says, yes, we might as well just give up. Nothing's going to change. I work in a school in Phoenix. Believe me, the classes are jam-packed with Spanish-speaking students. There's nothing we can do about it.
Well, the reason Trump beat 16 Republicans and beat Hillary Clinton, two political dynasties in America, which, of course, America's not supposed to have dynasties, but we did with Bush and Clinton, is because he was the first person in years. And listen, tell Miss Phoenix that I lived in Austin, Texas for 10 years, which is nice because it's so close to Texas. And I saw a whole lot of what you're talking about. I remember when I moved to Austin in '96, I drove down to San Antonio to pick a girlfriend at the time up at the airport. Mm-hmm. And half the billboards in San Antonio were in Spanish. And that was in 1996, and that's 3.5 hours above the border, north of the border. So I totally understand. And that's why I've been screaming about illegal immigration for years, because it was a powder keg. And as soon as Trump swerved into it on his announcement day, I said he was going to win because of that issue. So tell Miss Phoenix, I'm totally with her. I don't think we've lost him. I think the media wants us to think we've lost him. I don't think we've lost him.
Okay. I live in Phoenix, too. Where I live, I can't say that I see a bunch of Spanish billboards. I see them sometimes, but it's not really that bad here. I haven't seen anything. There's places where there's issues, but I haven't seen anything like that.
I remember the first thing I saw on the interstate on 35 coming into San Antonio was a Bud Light billboard in Spanish. And this was 1996. I went, what is that? Yeah. So, yeah. And that was 21 years ago for people who went to government schools and can't do math.
Well, I will say this one thing, and I will be honest. I have seen a lot of Taco Bells here in Phoenix, so there is a lot of those. Del Taco. So
Taco Bell's owned by a company called Yum, so I don't think that has very much Spanish behind it, really.
I forgot. I got a newspaper. I got to show you an ad I just saw, but it's in my other room. So I'm going to ask you a question. And I need you to talk. I need you to talk for like 20, 30 seconds.
Yes.
And maybe we can talk about the ponytail. I'm kidding. Okay, so you were saying that one of the things that caught my attention today was talking about Trump. You posted some stuff on Facebook, and because there are a lot of people that think that maybe Trump isn't as conservative as we'd hoped, not as Republican, and maybe he sold out the base. What do you say to that?
Well, what I say to that is he wasn't a conservative. He never was a conservative. He was a populist, right-of-center person, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's a conservative. And what I was writing about today I have a real problem with never-Trumpers. The reason I have a problem with never-Trumpers is once he won the primary, you had two options. You had Trump or Clinton. Those were your choices.
Right.
And at that point, the never-Trump movement should have died completely. Unfortunately, it did not. So now,
the never-Trumpers haven't given up, have they?
No, it's like assigning yourself to the Sahara Desert. It's like a self-exile from reality and any kind of relevance to what's going on. Look, one of their never-Trump complaints is he's really malleable. Okay, if he's malleable, which he is, and I'm not disagreeing, would you rather sit on the sidelines and pitch snarky fits?
Right.
Or would you rather get in the fight and try to malleable him in the right direction?
All right.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you.
And if he hears from people who are allegedly on the right, and all he hears from them is whining and complaining and all that, and then he runs into Republicans in Congress who do nothing, and it's like the inert Congress of 2017. He's going to work with people who aren't inert,
right?
And he's got proclivities and tendencies on both sides of the aisle, depending upon the issue. He wants to accomplish stuff that he thinks will help. Now, as conservatives, I don't think all the stuff he thinks will help. But if he wants to move on what he thinks will help, and the Republicans are inert, He's going to work with the Democrats who can deliver their voting block in totality, where the Republicans can't even get a vote on Obamacare repeal after.
My concern is that he's fallen for the same trap that Ronald Reagan did. Hey, okay, we'll do the amnesty, and then don't worry, we'll build that wall.
No,
or are we going to build the wall? You don't think?
I don't think he's there yet.
Okay,
I don't. I really don't. This DACA thing is being blown way out of proportion. I think the 3-month extension on the debt ceiling was brilliant.
Okay, why?
Because first of all, the Republicans that were yelling at him were proposing an 18-month debt ceiling extension.
Okay.
So I don't know what they're mad at him for 3 months for when they were going to do 18. They're 6 times as dumb as they're saying he is. So I think that was a brilliant move. When I heard about this plan, I was disappointed, but then I forgot my own rule, and then throughout the course of the day, we found out that the plan wasn't a plan. It was a one-sided discussion in the White House.
Right.
So I don't think he's where Reagan is, where he's going to cut some sort of amnesty deal. I really don't.
Okay.
I think,
But didn't he? His stuff today, where he's talking about, well, who wants to get rid of these wonderful children who went to
somebody's going to tell them they're not children anymore.
Well, and then they're paying taxes. They're not paying taxes.
Not much. Look. Somebody's got to sit down and explain some of the basics of the illegal aliens in this country. Mm-hmm. The average Mexican finishes 6th grade.
Really?
And that's high. Yeah. And that's high for Central and South America.
You're talking about if you're an actual Mexican. We're not talking about people that come to America.
If you're illegally, you finish 6th grade. That's the average.
That's
high. That's high for Central and South America.
Okay, hold on. So I want to understand. So you're saying if you've come to America, it's still 6th grade.
If you're an adult from Mexico,
okay,
the average education level is 6th grade.
Wow.
Even if you're an adult in Mexico, the average level of school completion is 6th grade. So, and that's high for Central and South America. Most of them are much, much lower than that. So in the 21st century information computer economy, why are we importing junior high school dropouts? Okay. And that's the first argument to make.
Now, can we say that Seton Motley's a racist? I mean, you just said something that's very offensive on a group of people.
For pointing out the actual statistical facts about the education levels of countries in Central.
Now, wait a second. Why would you be talking facts when you can be talking emotion? Come on, Seton, this is 2017.
Sorry. And then, of course, the next point you have to make is why are we importing anybody when we have between 94 and 95 million American citizens out of the workforce?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
We talked about the wage stagnation for 30, 40 years now. One of the reasons, it's not the sole reason. I'm admitting it's not the only reason. But the law of supply and demand dictates that if you have a bunch of people, if you have 50 people competing for 5 jobs, the wages are much lower than if 5 people are competing for 5 jobs.
Right.
And so, of course, if you're importing a bunch of junior high school dropouts, the people most hurt by this are immigrants, legal immigrants here, blacks, and Hispanics, lower educated people that are already here.
Okay,
that's why Trump did better amongst blacks and Hispanics than Mitt Romney did.
Okay, now Melvin is saying, why are people still pushing president hate? Shame on you fake Christians. That's one thing that someone just said.
Well, because the government's not in the Christianity business.
Okay.
They started a government that was specifically not going to have a state religion.
Okay.
If you want to help these people, there's billions of dollars spent on charity every year. You can help them that way.
Donald says, I know some Mexicans, very good guys, hard workers. They would take their shirt off their back for you.
Okay. Did they come here legally?
Remember Vicente Fox?
I'm not speaking ill of these people,
but
the problem is the rest of the world, for the most part, stinks.
Right. And
if we opened our borders, 7 of the 8 billion people on the planet would be climbing to get here.
Right.
Once again, I'm doing basic math. And we can't do that.
Okay.
That doesn't make any sense. Especially with a welfare state that's grown to the size that it has.
Right. William says he's from Rochester, New York. We elected President Trump because he was not establishment. Why would you expect him to act as if he was establishment? He doesn't telegraph his strategy when he kicked back DACA to Congress. I predicted the program would continue in some form or another. There will be a wall, whether it's a virtual wall or a physical wall. It will curtail illegal immigration.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I think Trump knows this, and I certainly say it all the time. the reason the wall is important is, one, symbolic, and two, unlike other forms of border enforcement, it doesn't go away if a Democrat administration comes in and says, I don't want to enforce the border anymore.
Right.
What are they going to do, tear it down? They're going to look pretty stupid if they're tearing down a physical wall. The virtual wall can go away. The extra border agents can go away. We saw it under Obama for 8 years. Right. He basically, for all intents and purposes, stopped enforcing the border.
All right, so you agree with Stanley that Trump did not sell us out. He's playing 3D chess, not checkers.
Well, again, I certainly think he was doing that with the debt ceiling move. That was a brilliant move. Because you can't fight a debt ceiling war while you're trying to fund relief for 2 hurricanes.
Right.
That just looks terrible. On this one, I think, look, if he's doing that, we certainly know that the media, the disassociated press that started this nonsense of the day, doesn't like Trump and isn't going to do him any favors and will lie about him if it advances the leftist cause, which it did in this instance for this day.
Right.
But I'm with Stan. I don't think he sold us out on this issue. Look, he's a salesman, and he knows what he sold to get to where he is.
Right. And
first and foremost, most of all, that was an immigration agenda, and I don't think he's at the point now where he's going to give that up.
Okay, Myrtle says, well, if they're tearing down statues now, they'll tear down a wall later on if they need to.
Well, he should put various Confederate generals in different blocks on the wall.
There you go. All right, so I told you, by the way, Seton Motley's here. He's with lessgovernment.org, one of the smart guys and one of the good dudes. He got out of Washington, D.C. I don't know why, but I'm glad he did. So I told
you. You really asking me why?
So I told you I had to go find a newspaper.
Yes,
right?
On the paper.
Okay, so I never pick up this rag, but every city has one. It's the free kind of the college lefty paper, right? This is called the Phoenix New Times.
In Austin, we had the Austin Chronicle, and they gave me the 9th stupidest quote of the year 2002.
What was that?
By totally misrepresenting how and what I said.
Okay.
I ran a county judge race in 2002 in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And it's a suicide mission. If you run a countywide race for a Republican in Austin, it's a suicide mission.
Okay.
And we ran a really good race. I audited the county budget for 13 years. I found they went $250 million in debt in one county in 13 years.
Wow. And
spent less than 6% on roads. Meanwhile, they were adding 1,000 people net a week because remember in the early 2000s, Austin was Silicon Valley East.
Okay.
And their theory was if we don't build roads, no one will move here. Meanwhile, 1,000 people a week were moving.
Right.
So anyway, we ran this great race, but it didn't matter. And I walked into the vote counting place in Austin, Texas, in Travis County, and they posted the early voting. Now, those early voting machines, they're Democrat homing devices. The early voting vans never go anywhere Republicans are.
Right.
So I walked in, and they posted the early voting tallies, and I walked up, and I saw that because we'd pushed real hard for early voting, and I looked at, we were already losing in early voting badly.
Okay.
So I sarcastically said out loud to nobody, oh, I guess it's still a Democrat county. And they wrote it, somebody overheard me from the Austin Chronicle and wrote it down as if I was legitimately saying, wow, I guess it's still a Democrat county.
Oh,
like I didn't know that.
Right.
So, yeah. So anyway.
That's funny. Okay.
All the big cities have one of those.
Of course. Okay. Yeah. So remember Vicente Fox?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Vicente Fox.
Former president broke the 71-year run of the Communist Party presidential stranglehold in Mexico. Yes.
And he did a viral video not that long ago speaking to Trump, and basically he said, F you, Trump. Remember that? About the wall?
On funding the wall, yes.
Right, all that stuff. Well, Vicente Fox is coming to Phoenix to speak October 13th and 14th. Former president of Mexico. And you would think, I mean, when you've got a man that is important as Vicente Fox, you would
just ask him.
I mean, the event would have to be something incredible, something special, something important.
Is he charging $300 a piece like Hillary Clinton?
No, as a matter, you can't get 50% off if you use a special code. It's 2 days. There's 40 speakers. There's 200 exhibits. I want you just to think for a moment, what kind of an event are we talking about? Let's Hold Hands in America event? Is it, I Hate Donald Trump event? What kind of event is it? It's the Southwest Cannabis Conference and Expo. Vincente Fox is coming to go and speak at a dope conference. That's how good he's doing. Yeah.
What is I don't know this. What is the Arizona legal status of pot?
I think it's medical marijuana right now. There's billboard. Now we don't have a lot of billboards I've seen in Spanish, but there's a lot of billboards for Dr. Reef Earl.
That's a nice double entendre.
Yeah. But I just find it hysterical that Vincente Fox is coming to speak at the pot convention. You know why? Because you'd have to be high. Huh?
You think he'll forget to come?
Probably. I mean, you got to be high to think Vincente Fox is saying something important.
That's a culture clash, man. I can think of 2,000 people that they would invite to a pot rally before Vicente Fox.
Let's see what else. What else do we get? A lot of people checking in. Dean's checking in from the UK. Hey, Dean.
Hey. God bless the internet.
Barbara says we fed them. We told them we have to let them go back to their own country with their education and improve their own country like America. Oh, that's what she should guess was the Dreamers. Okay, we educated you, we fed you, we clothed you. Now go back and make Mexico better. Interesting.
Well, that's part of the problem is we've been a safety valve for Mexico and other countries where all our most disgruntled citizens that should be there voting and changing their countries are escaping and coming here.
Yeah. And
then, of course, the number 2 or number 3, it varies from year to year. The number 2 or number 3 largest item in the Mexican economy is remittances from the United States.
Yeah,
so we're an exporter of welfare money to Central and South America. It's brilliant policy from a national standpoint.
Aileen says, "Hey everybody, I was watching the General Lee statue being removed in Texas. So sad. Now was Bo and Luke Duke there too when they were taking down the general?"
Well, Cooter was a congressman, right?
He was.
Yeah, the guy who played Cooter ended up being a congressman.
Now you've lived in Florida. You've lived in the South. I've lived in the South.
Oh yeah.
I understand why people in the South still like the Confederate flag, and I don't believe it is a racist symbol. It's easy to point that way. Well, can you explain that to people?
Well, I live in rural Maryland right now, and you see the Confederate flag all over the place. About an hour and a half from here, and I've driven by it, is a Confederate Memorial Park in Maryland, which was a northern state,
right?
Who, by the way, Lincoln let keep their slaves. Why? Because they were landlocked to D.C. and could invade.
Is that right?
D.C. if they joined the Confederacy. No, in fact, I used to play. Speaking of Austin, I used to play pickup basketball. It was only 2 white guys who played pickup basketball, me and this other guy. And I was pretty good when I was not 140 years old. Mm-hmm. And the guy had a tattoo on his arm of a Confederate flag, and then underneath it said "Pride, not prejudice." And that, to me, perfectly encapsulates what we're dealing with to this day.
Okay, so it's pride.
Guys who played with gave a rat's ass.
Okay, but it was pride in loving slavery. It was pride in what?
Pride in the South, pride in their state, pride in their, pride in their culture. Mm-hmm. All of these things. Look, I think people try to say that the war was about slavery. It really wasn't. If it was, Maryland would have been kicked out of the Union. Lincoln was famous for saying, if I could keep the Union together, and I would keep I would keep slavery. I would keep slavery if it would save the Union. So it's not. Meanwhile, General Lee hated slavery. I mean, the only reason he joined the South is because he couldn't fight against Virginia, which was his own state.
Right.
So it's not nearly as cut and dry and as simple. And I've always found it deeply offensive to look at any era in the past through a modern prism, because it's not fair to anyone back then.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, we all know that Thomas Jefferson had slaves. Or is the Jefferson Memorial, is that in trouble?
Well, they already did that once. Didn't they cover a Thomas Jefferson statue with a hijab? They've already done that once.
They did? I didn't see that one. But I mean, are we going to tear the Jefferson Memorial down? The Washington Monument? Are we going to take that one down? And people, they're never going to go after Washington. Yeah, they are.
They already are.
Yeah.
They already are. No, there's no end to this because then what goes next? The documents they wrote, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. If you're gonna rule them out of polite society, you have to rule out their seminal work too.
Right, and I think there's a lot of those people that would have no problem with us getting rid of those documents.
Well, they hate them. It's antithetical. Look, when I hear Bernie Sanders, the uninformed, get up and say that health care is a right, I say, where in the Constitution is it enumerated? I mean, you don't have and Rand Paul tore Bernie a new one in the Senate in a hearing several years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, when he said, what you're saying is, I'm a doctor. You have the right to enslave me and my staff. If it's a right, you have the right to come in and take my services for free and take everyone in my office's services for free, right down to the janitor who comes in and cleans up after I work on you for free. It's not a right. If you want it to be a right, amend the Constitution. They hate the Constitution. You remember what Barack Obama said on PBS radio, local Chicago radio, in like 2000? It came out during the 2008 election. No. He said the problem with the Constitution is it's negative rights. It tells you what the government can't do. It doesn't tell you what the government can do. No, that's not a bug. That's a feature. That's the way they wrote it. They did so intentionally. And they don't like that. They want the government to do more, and the Constitution is an impediment to all of that.
All right, Seton Motley is his name. lessgovernment.org is where you can find him. And if you would, do us a favor. Share this video. Right now, we're live. If you missed part of it, don't worry. It'll replay. You can find it back here on this page. Also, you can share the audio. If you're listening to the podcast, you can find that at iTunes and Stitcher and iHeartRadio and any place there's good podcasts. We're now in the top 50 of all podcasts in the world. Politically. This is the one area podcasts is where liberals are winning. The left is, they've kind of found their toehold in podcasts, and this is where we're trying to catch up a little bit, and we can do it. We just got to let people know that we're out there, Seton.
Yep. No, I agree. Does Adam Carolla count as a political podcast?
Nah, that's more of a comedy one, although he is political. I actually like his podcast.
He's touring with Dennis Prager now, and his numbers are insane.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Joe Rogan doesn't count.
No.
But I listen to his podcast pretty regularly. He's got some cool guests. He's all over the map. He'll have Peter Schiff on and sound like a free marketeer, and then he'll have a leftist on and sound like a leftist. I don't know what Joe's thinking. But yeah, we're getting killed on the podcast. It's kind of like their answer to terrestrial talk radio.
It is, and the truth is, and I've talked about here, talk radio is in big trouble, huge trouble. Radio. Yep. I don't know if you know this, Seton, but the biggest radio company is $28 billion in debt.
Which one is that?
That's iHeartMedia. The second biggest one, Cumulus, they have to service $12 million a month in debt and in interest payments. And these companies are in big trouble. And they don't own just most of the big talk stations. They own all of them. All of them. And they own Rush and Hannity and Levin and Savage.
And they're hemorrhaging that much cash?
Yes. And that's why in an hour you're hearing so many darn commercials. They're doing 22, 23 minutes of commercials plus news, traffic, weather together. And so that's one of the reasons why I said, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to come here, be online, not worry about the edicts. Yes, you must do another commercial for boner pills. I'm not doing those anymore. And I want to speak directly to you, and I'm not going to waste 3 hours of your time. We're going to do...
you own your content.
Huh?
And you own your content.
That's right. I get to do what I want.
Yep.
And it's working. And, I haven't had you on there. We need to have you on the show more often.
I was going to say, I think this is the first time I've done your show in this format, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe it's true, yes.
I believe it's true.
I don't do very many guests.
Are you going to go visit Vicente Fox at the pot rally?
I'm weird. I know I'm weird. I may be the only guy on the planet. I've never been drunk or high in my life. It has no appeal to me whatsoever. So
remember, I'm a retired musician, and I never did any drugs. I was the only guy in any band I was ever in that didn't, but I didn't.
You and Ted Nugent, man. That's it.
He had a great line. He said, I don't want to hear about peer pressure. When you're next in the pass line from Jimi Hendrix, that's peer pressure. He goes, I don't want to hear about peer pressure at your high school or whatever. When Jimi Hendrix is passing to you and you say no, that's peer pressure.
Yes. Let's see here. Let's go. By the way, thank you for checking in. If you would, go ahead and comment here. We want the engagement. Give us some hearts, some thumbs ups. If you don't like us, if you're a lefty and you think that we're big old meanies, fine, give us the angries. We want to know what you're thinking. Let's see here. Darius says, calm down, for crying out loud. People, he's playing the game. Really? You don't get that? It's really a no-brainer. I guess talking about Trump.
No, he's talking about Trump, but he's right. He's right.
Mm-hmm. Brenda says, I keep hearing how illegals are such hard workers. If you think about it, they have something to lose if they aren't hard workers.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. Look, there's no question that a lot of them are, but a lot of them aren't. I mean, didn't you see that story where $44 million in illegal IRS refunds were sent to the same address?
No.
Yeah. It was a year or two ago. It was $44 million to 16 different returns at the same address, which was like a one-bedroom apartment. So they're not all. Look, they come from socialist countries. They're used to and like getting government money.
Right.
And if they're not educated, even if they are working 40, 60 hours a week, they're not making it above the welfare line.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they are, look, if a sixth grade dropout is working 60 hours a week and he has 2 kids in school, you think he's paying enough in property taxes to cover the $22,000 a year his kids' schools cost?
Yeah, probably not.
No, they don't.
Glenn says, Rusty, this is an awesome format. Interactive beats all those other formats. It's like sitting at the dinner table. Thank you, Glenn. We appreciate it. Brandy's watching in Tennessee. Pamela says, I'm tired of paying for the illegals and illegals and legals. My paycheck is mine. Bruce York says, Uncle Ted, love him. Cat scratch fever. It's so easy for liberals to say, you just don't like them because of the color of their skin. It's very easy to point fingers and say you're being mean. Were your parents mean when they told you not to touch the stove? We're not trying to be mean. We're trying to save our republic. We're trying to do what's right for our children, our children's children. And I understand people want to bring their children here, but can we bring everybody's kids? I don't see that. And you were talking about crime. I don't know if you read Ann Coulter's book, Adios America. You did? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's absolutely
I
brilliant.
listened to it, technically.
Me too. And one of the things she talks about, though, is different parts of the world specialize in different types of crime.
Exactly.
And we aren't used to these kind of crimes. And so they come, and in some countries it's more of rape. In some countries it's internet crime. In some countries it's, I don't remember what it was. It's been a while, but maybe you remember a little bit better, Seton.
They're like diseases to which we haven't built up an immunity.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how to deal. The Eastern Bloc countries come here, Russia, and they come here and do these massive credit card scams and these massive web scams, and we're just not geared up for it.
Right.
Because they're better geared up for it in Russia than they are here.
Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, again, it's real easy to say they're just children. Okay, I'll ask you, Seton. See if you're a bad man. Okay.
Oh, I'm a terrible man. Go ahead.
They got here from no fault of their own. They were children. Man, they've worked hard. Some of them are valedictorians of their school. They're doing great. They're going to college. Why not just let them stay?
Well, first of all, one of the stats that I found out very interesting was, it gets thrown around. Some of them serve in the military.
Mm-hmm.
You know what percentage of the military are illegal aliens?
How many?
0.1%.
0.1.
0.1. Okay. Not many. Because it's hard to get in. I think I never applied for the military, but I think you get weeded out specifically because you're an illegal alien in most instances.
I wish you wouldn't refer to Vincente Fox at that point. We're weeded out.
Eligible?
Yeah.
Did he register with Secret Service?
No, he's weeded out. So yeah.
He forgot.
Yeah.
No, look, some of them a lot of them do good stuff. I mean, look, we're back to where we were at Trump's announcement speech, where they lied and said every Mexican was a rapist and a criminal. That's not what he said.
No.
He said a lot of them are. Mm-hmm. And, this they throw some stat around, which I don't think is a correct stat because it comes from the government. But the stat that illegal aliens commit less crime than American citizens.
I mean, that's just silly.
Well, first of all, they're illegal aliens. A lot of their crimes don't get registered the way government registers crimes.
Right.
Second of all, the correct number of of foreigners committing crimes in our country is 0. We should be able to control who comes in here to such a degree that nobody that comes here will commit crime because we've scrutinized them, we've vetted them, and we know who's coming in here, and they're not going to be committing crimes once they get here.
Right. You know, there was a congresswoman a couple days ago when the whole DACA thing came out. She says, some of them, they didn't even know they were illegal until they applied for their driver's license or they went to apply for college. They didn't even know. So my answer to that is, okay, so their criminal parents lied to them for 16 to 20 years and didn't tell them, and they had no idea, and that's my fault and your fault, Seton Motley.
Well, and the other point is the whole thing, it's not their parents' fault. Well, you can make that argument for every criminal in the United States with kids. We can't put them in jail because they're kids. We have to worry about their kids. And what would happen to their kids if their parents go to jail? Okay, then let's not arrest anybody with children that commit crimes. That's insane. That's insane.
Carol thinks that the people are not vetted and that 40 and 50% of them are criminals. Is that a little high, maybe?
40 to 50, I would say that's high.
Although, well, actually, could you not say that
100%
of them, right?
Illegal.
I
mean, beyond that, I think it's lower than 40 to 50.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, and even then, even if they're not, they're not criminally oriented, they're not gang members.
Right.
They have to commit other crimes to stay here. They have to acquire false documentation, get a fake social security number. They have to do a bunch of things additionally that are illegal to perpetuate the original illegality, which was sneaking into the country.
All right. Seton Motley here, lessgovernment.org. Other than Trump and stuff, what are you guys working on at lessgovernment.org right now?
I write about a bunch of stuff. I mean, this week I wrote about the stupid. After 8 years of Obama with all the power grabs by all the executive agencies, one of the particularly dumb things is the comment period. The bureaucratic agency that you've never heard of that's about to illegally power grab something from you, whether it's the EPA or the FCC or whomever, in the interest of putting a democratic veneer on the illegal power grab, they have a comment period where you can weigh in on the power grab, and you know how it works. It's the government. If they get a bunch of comments in favor of the power grab, they trumpet the results and do the power grab.
Right.
If most of the comments are opposed to the power grab, they don't say anything and they do the power grab anyway. And so I just found that right now we're in the midst of the FCC of repealing Obama's power grab. He imposed 1934 landline phone law on the internet and then imposed network neutrality. And the Trump FCC is in the process of undoing that and going through the process. And in the process of undoing it, they had their comment period. And all these morons on the left, the number one email address suffix of negative or anti-repeal comments, pro-Title II comments, was Pornhub.com.
Oh, come on.
I swear to God. Pornhub put this big thing on their website that said, stop the repeal of net neutrality, and the number one there were like 22 million comments. 4 million were from Russia. Because you could track the IPs and all this stuff.
Okay, let me ask you this: why would net neutrality is still darn confusing to me. I would think Pornhub, I'm guessing they might have a little traffic. I'm not sure. They might have some traffic. I would think they wouldn't want net neutrality. I would think net neutrality.
Look, they have a lot of traffic. Okay. Like Google has a lot of traffic.
Right.
Like Netflix has a lot of traffic. Like Amazon has a lot of traffic. Facebook. All these companies are for net neutrality because one of the side effects is the internet service providers can't charge them for all the bandwidth they use. So it's like a government zeroing out their bandwidth use charges. And of course, that's great for them, but there's only two groups of people the internet service provider can charge: them and us. So if they can't charge them, they have to charge us more. So we pay more to connect to the internet to augment the profits of Google and Netflix and Pornhub.
Do you okay, we've had net neutrality now for what, 2 or 3 years. Has it affected me at all?
Well, there's only been 3 times in the history of the private sector internet that investment has gone down year to year. And that was in 2001 to 2002 after 9/11.
Okay.
It was in 2008 to 2009 after the global financial collapse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it was the year after net neutrality was put in place.
Right.
And so net neutrality from an investment standpoint is the equivalent of a ginormous terrorist attack or a global economic meltdown.
Although it does.
Yes, now, again, very rarely, this is why the left gets to advance the ball all the time. Very rarely does a government power grab immediately result in negative results.
Okay.
Obamacare was a rare example where it did, where you could draw a straight line between the government power grab and the negative results, because it happened so quickly in such a focused, fixed way. Oh, your premiums will go down $2,500 a year. Oh, actually, they doubled. Okay. That was like, that was pretty easy to. But normally, the way government regulation works is, it goes from 60 to 55 miles an hour, from 55 to 50, from 50 to 45, and that's what the intention of net neutrality is. It's to gradually degrade the investment of the internet, which will gradually degrade the internet, and then, because the ultimate objective, as said by a college professor and an avowed Marxist, please pardon the redundancy, he said the ultimate objective of net neutrality is to eradicate the media capitalists from the phone and cable companies and to divest them from control. How very Venezuela of them.
Yeah.
So the ultimate objective is to strangle the private sector internet until it's dead, and then have government be your sole internet service provider.
So they want
like Obamacare inexorably led to Bernie idiot Sanders with a single payer bill today.
Right. All right. Seton Motley is here. Lessgovernment.org. It's always a pleasure, man. It's good to see you.
You want to kick me off? I understand.
I don't do 3 hours, man. I do what I don't do 3 hours now. I do what's good, and then I get off.
Oh, I see.
See, this is the way it should be. We do the good stuff, and then we're done. We move on. Yes. We're done with the show.
Yes. That's actually a very good way to do it.
So are you
plus a podcast, shorter the better.
That's right. Are you worried about your house in Florida?
I am. I heard. See, I'm getting all these extraneous reports. I actually heard. I'm an introvert. I was doing some remodeling on the house, so that was money well spent. I heard from the niece of my foreman, who's already gotten to be better friends with my neighbors than I am.
No.
She got a text from my across the street neighbor that said my entire block was under 5 feet of water.
Ooh.
Now I don't know A, if that's true. B, I don't know how long it lasted, because I actually found a video of a drone flying over wrecked Goodland. It's only 272 people. Okay. It's a little fishing village. So it's, a drone flew over and it got most of my neighbor's house in the picture. I was off to the side. My house looked okay from the little bit I could see from the roof perspective. His roof, he has a multiple story house. Mm-hmm. His roof was like sheared off. Like it was stripped off. It looked like somebody had gone with a giant, planer and was planing wood off his roof. So I don't know what the hell's going on. My contractor can't get into Goodland because he doesn't have a driver's license that says Goodland on it.
So when do you get to go back in?
Well, I don't know. The first step is to find out what actually happened. Was there water inside? Mm-hmm. How much? How long? What damage did it do? Mm-hmm. I have my insurance policies printed out sitting on my kitchen island waiting to call them as soon as I figure out what the hell is going on.
Well, it was good that Beyonce and Stevie Wonder tried raising money. I'm sure it's going right to your house.
You know what? Rush Limbaugh made a great point, and it's worth repeating. They had that hour-long thing where they beat the hell out of conservatives and beat the hell out of Trump and all that. Mm-hmm. And all those stars on all the networks, 4 networks for an hour, raised $44 million. J.J. Watt, the defensive end or defensive tackle for the Houston Texans, threw up a little GoFundMe thing with a goal of $200,000, and he's raised $22 million all by himself.
Is that right? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
All right.
And because he hasn't gotten political. He's never gotten political. Mm-hmm. He's actually charged it on the field carrying a giant American flag, and he's embraced Houston. He embraced this right away. He's actually showing up with the goods, the food and stuff that he's buying with his money, and is actually helping hand it out and all that stuff. And he raised half of what they did with a GoFundMe page.
That's awesome.
And no network coverage whatsoever.
That's awesome. Jennifer is out. Good luck listening to this BS, is what she says. I'm gone. Good luck, she says. John thinks that the insurance money should be going to build the wall. And
I'll take that.
Jerry says, Seton, check out monolithic.org. Hurricanes, earthquake, fire, termite-proof homes. Check out the Dome of a Home on Pensacola.
Well, I appreciate that. And you know what I'm hoping for, Rusty, is I'm hoping that it's totaled. Like they just declared a total loss, and then I'll build it the way I want, on stilts, with their money.
There you go.
That's the dream at this point.
That's the great socialist way.
Hey, no, I pay for my insurance policies. I have hazard and flood. I don't want to hear it.
Okay, good. All right. We find you online as lessgovernment.org.
Lessgovernment.org. If you sign up for our newsletter, all you'll get is the newsletter. And unlike Google, I won't sell access to your data.
Oh, come on. That's how you guys make money, isn't it?
I don't, but that's how they built an $800 billion company. Yes.
So maybe we're doing it wrong.
I think they did something right. Yes.
All right, Seton, it is a pleasure, and hey, thanks for being here. I hope you'll come back soon. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, man. Good to see you.
Take care, brother. Bye-bye. That's a good dude. Seton Motley again, lessgovernment.org, and thank you, Seton. We'll catch up with you again soon. I will hang up on you now because you have other things to do. There we go. So Seton doesn't think Donald Trump sold us out. I mean, listen, hey, he's a smart dude. So I'll take his word for it. I hope not. I really do. I hope not. Now, a guy who I'm not a big fan of, Paul Ryan, says that we're still moving forward with the funding of the wall. That's what he had to say today.
We are fully funding the president's request to build a wall along our southern border. We're beefing up our enforcement against illegal immigration. It's a huge victory for so many different conservative priorities. The legislation includes strong protections for life. It rolls back regulations and eliminates dozens of government programs that are outdated and dysfunctional. This bill secures our national defense. It protects our citizens here at home. It gives our service members a much-desired and much-earned pay raise. When I became Speaker, I made a commitment to regular order, to working with both sides of the aisle, to spend taxpayers the right way, and to go through regular order, and that's exactly what we are doing.
Okay, good. Well, it sounds good. Let's see what you actually do. Let's see here. A friend of mine, Christy, wrote, President Trump this morning on Twitter. Does anybody really want to throw out good, educated, accomplished young people who have jobs, some serving in the military? Really? They've been in our country for many, many years through no fault of their own, brought in by parents at a young age, plus big border security. That whole no fault of their own thing, that's a good thing that everybody always uses. Anyway, she writes, immigration is not my issue, but how big of a departure from his rhetoric and promises during the campaign will his supporters continue defending him as if this is not the opposite of what he ran on? Okay, interesting. And Coulter says, if Trump fails on immigration, he'll be the man who killed America. No amnesty is good amnesty. She blisteringly attacked the lie that DACA is and the Dreamers Act it covers. She says it's merely a small segment of immigrant population. She claims what the president has been led to believe on illegal immigration, that he must agree to a grand bargain and can't simply boot out lawbreakers, is putting him in the trap of passing a comprehensive immigration reform package that includes amnesty. She says this. The main problem with the farm worker amnesty, the DACA amnesty, or any amnesty is that everyone involved in the entire immigration apparatus is feverishly working on the taxpayer's dime to transform this country into a third world hellhole. Lawyers for La Raza and lawyers for government both believe it is their mission to humiliate and destroy white Christian America. Actually, this country is a biracial Christian America. plus a few Amerindians, and anyone else who assimilated to Western European culture. Is Ann right that if Trump fails to do that he's in trouble? He sold out our country? Cheryl thinks she's got it right. Jamie's checking in. Hey, Jamie, how are you? Lyndon said Seton was not too smart about Maryland history. Maryland was neutral throughout the war, and it is south of the Mason-Dixon line. Okay. Aileen checking in. Everybody, I'm going to wrap up in just a minute. Would you please, before I do, share the video, check in, give me some hearts, give me some thumbs ups, give me some whatever, some emojis, hit those. Let's let people know what it is that is going on. Rand Paul talked a little bit on the floor of the Senate today. Let's hear a little bit of what he said here on the Rusty Humphries Rebellion.
And we have a disease, or a syndrome rather. I call it the dinosaur syndrome. Big hearts, small brains. Unfortunately, it's a recurring problem, year after year, bill after bill, day after day. In Washington, it is argued that you are more compassionate if you give away more of someone else's money. I would argue that true compassion is in giving your own money away. I would argue that truly rational policy is giving away money that you have. So it's one thing to give away other people's money. It's another thing to give away money that you don't even possess. We as a country have a $20 trillion debt. We borrow $1 million every minute.
Wow.
And yet we are putting forward a bill to allocate $15 billion to those who are suffering under Harvey or from Harvey without paying for it, without finding the money anywhere, with just simply adding it to our tab, adding it to our $20 trillion bill. How did we get to $20 trillion in debt? Big hearts, small brains. Nobody has the courage to say, why don't we pay for it? Why don't we be legislators and stand up like men and women and say, let's set priorities. If it's a priority to help those in Texas, and I have great sympathy for those in Texas. My family is there. I have family members with 2 feet of water in their house. So I have great sympathy for those who are in need. But there's no reason to be foolish. We shouldn't just borrow the money. Why don't we take the money from something less important? My amendment, America First Amendment, would take the money from money that we were going to send to foreign countries. We send billions and billions of dollars to countries who hate us. We send billions and billions of dollars to countries who burn our flag. I think it's a very simple choice that when we're looking at helping those in need in our country, we quit sending money to other countries.
I love it. 100% right. Sorry if you disagree. Oh, we need to help the world. Well, let's start with the people in the world that don't hate us. I'll start there, and then we can go from there. How about that? I'm in. You agree with Rand Paul? Give us a comment right here. Or you can always, by the way, if you're listening to the podcast or watching me live right now, you can always email me, rusty@rustylive.com. Or if you go to my website, rustylive.com, you can leave a voice message, and I might just play it back on the air here. Before I go, I got to play some Hillary hilarity. It's almost as if she's a stand-up comic now. Her lies are so far gone. She's so far gone with what she's saying. It's just she just lost it. So let's have some Hillary hilarity here on the Rusty Humphries Rebellion.
I take responsibility for every decision I made, but that's not why I lost. The Russians weaponizing information, negative stories about me. I had no control over the Russians. They were connected to, as we now know, the 1,000 Russian agents. Unprecedented interference, including from a foreign power. This whole WikiLeaks of John Podesta's emails, they were taken out of context. I have my complaints about former Director Comey, but for that Comey letter, she would have won. So badly damaged because of that. I didn't get the same respect from my primary opponent. A lot of his supporters continue to harass, well, you're supporting a woman because you're a woman. Yes, and they're still out there. Bernie's not a Democrat. My email account was turned into, the biggest scandal since Lord knows when. This was the biggest nothing burger ever. I didn't break any rule. Nobody said don't do this, and I was very responsible and not at all careless. This email thing, it's like a help desk issue. First time that you had the tech revolution really weaponized politically. Before it was a way to reach voters. We now know Facebook through content farms, the bots that are just out of control, voter suppression. You had effective suppression of votes, and Republican governors and legislatures began doing everything they could to suppress the vote. So I inherit nothing from the Democratic Party.
What do you mean nothing?
I mean, it was bankrupt. It was on the verge of insolvency. Its data was mediocre to poor. The idea of a woman president feeds in, I think, to the whole sexism and misogyny. And the attacks were so
awesome.
sexist.
No,
a lot of the sexism and the misogyny, this whole question of equal pay. And yes, it was a role in this election. And then let's not forget sexism and misogyny.
Mm-hmm. I love that. What a great job. Good job on that video. IRJ, Independent Journal Review. Hysterical. Hilarious. The hilarity of Hillary. Ray says Hillary is ill. Hillary. Hilarity. Oh, Mike, no, not cool. Mike said something that's not cool. Not cool, Mike. Not cool. Oh, another Mike, different Mike, says, what was in the newspaper, Rusty? Oh, earlier in the show, I said I had to go and run and grab a newspaper. And I found this at a restaurant yesterday, the Phoenix New Times. They're the ones that always have the weird ads for, whatever. And in it, I found an ad of something that I found awesome, that Vicente Fox is coming to Phoenix. And I mentioned this if you're just joining us. So Vicente Fox coming to Phoenix. You get tickets 50% off. It's 2 days, 40 speakers, 200 exhibits. What kind of an incredible bringing the world together event, this important political event that Vicente Fox would be at? Yes, it is the Southwestern Cannabis Conference and Expo, sponsored by Weed Maps. Weed Maps. I just noticed that. Weed Maps. I'm guessing it's a map that shows you where to get the weed. Wow. Because what we need is more people that are high or on drugs, huh? I'm about done. Will you do me a favor? Will you support our sponsors? Today's show is brought to you by our good friends at Australian Dream Arthritis Pain Relief Cream and Back Pain Relief Cream. It is good stuff. Doesn't smell, it doesn't burn, it's not greasy, and if you've got pain, you just rub it where the pain is, and voila, that pain will go away, and you will feel so much better. Also has an empty jar guarantee. Use the whole jar. If you don't like it, you can get your money back. Don't worry about it, but you're not going to return it because it's actually good stuff. That's Australian Dream Arthritis Pain Relief Cream and Back Pain Relief Cream. Available at Walmart, Walgreens, and other fantabulous stores. Another great product, DerMend. Products for mature, seasoned citizens. This one's a great one. Moisturizing anti-itch lotion. Your skin, as you age, it just doesn't produce those oils that you used to. And this product, steroid-free, recommended by dermatologists. And this will really help you. And it is also available at Walmart, Walgreens, and other great retailers. Just go ask the pharmacist for it. They'll have it. And Wax RX. I've got earwax problems. I have to go and clean my ears out a couple times a year. And this is saving me hundreds of dollars a year. It is. It is the same basic product that your doctor uses. And you can get it by going to Wax RX and doing yourself a big favor. One thing you can do for yourself a big favor is go get my book, 7 Ways to Win Political Debates with Your Liberal Family and Friends and Still Keep Them as Family and Friends. Find out why the attacks, how to stop the confrontations from escalating, how to walk away a winner with those family and friends intact. And you know what? It's really worth it. And I'm very proud of that book, and I hope you'll go and check it out. That's it. May God bless you, and may God bless America. Thank you so much for hanging out. My name is Rusty Humphries. Don't forget to check out the podcast, The Rusty Humphries Rebellion, on iTunes, Stitcher, and other great places. Here every night, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West, unless I have something other and better to do. See you tomorrow night right here. I'm Rusty Humphries, and this is The Rusty Humphries Rebellion.